So here we go. Welcome everyone. Our Steris here. Our 24th build, and this time we're doing a Templar. So a little bit of intro. Then I'm gonna be showing up how the build work in Shattered Realm, and we're gonna be talking about early game of the build. We're gonna be talking about late game, the idea of the build itself, its strong points, its weak points, what the build can do, what the build can't do. Build actually can do everything. Anyway, so welcome everyone. Starting with the intro. And the first thing I want to say every time in these videos, and all the time I'm forgetting about, how do we play these builds, right? So we're playing this build from level 1 to level 100. We are clearing 95% of all the content all around the map, and some skeleton key dungeons. And we're doing it on ultimate difficulty, right? So we're using the merit. You can buy at Forgotten Gods Merchant.
I'll give you a good price on what I've
the
got
merit
left.
that giving you the saver merit, unlocking ultimate difficulty.
Put it to good use.
Then we jump in and doing the ultimate difficulty, which is the challenge itself, because you're starting with negative resistances. You don't have reputation items from the factions like powders and stuff, and enemy hitting like tracks, obviously. Another thing, what we're doing, we're grabbing constellations from 21 to 23 constellation points, devotion points on normal and elite difficulty, before level 50 to compensate a little bit for hardness of like the difficulty of the ultimate difficulty, and that's how we're playing. That's how we're playing also up until level 94. Almost all of the builds we're doing is solo still found. Right, so additional difficulty to that. Now about the build. So we're going for Templar. Templar is Arcanist plus Oathkeeper. The idea of the build is that we have 6 seconds Mirror of Ereoctes, and we can execute some fat targets during the 6 seconds, doing solo damage with Righteous Fervor, solo physical damage along this time. So we dual wielding here. Dual wielding that's giving you thanks to that Blade Master Talisman for Templar. There is a Scorched Cleavers giving me alongside this additional 3 seconds of Mirror of Ereoctes duration, it's also giving me additional 700% to physical damage, which is pretty good. We getting around 140, 50 DPS, K DPS on this build when we spin in my Righteous Favor. Alright, so let's have some buffs over here, also degree. Let's see. Yeah, some buffs can, so 141k. With the Fever going over there, which is not the biggest DPS. Not the biggest DPS, but it's enough to kill, despite this build not having much of AoE skills, and the Favor is solo target skill, it's enough to clean the waste of area, the waste of enemies on ultimate difficulty, on 95% content cases very fast, so it's a solid tier 2 build. It's definitely not the fastest cleaning speed, but there is the cleaning speed is good as any other build we played in the recent months or two. And the build is good to kill Celestials. Again, not the fastest fights with Celestials. Mogdran was very annoying as a fight. It took me over the 5 minutes. Surprisingly, Ravager was the easiest fight out of 2. On Ravager, we could have face tanked Ravager around 20 seconds, more or less. We still can fully face tank him without. So we have also Unsanctioned here. Unsanctioned lasting 10 seconds, giving me that flat damage absorption, 142, and it's actually was working pretty good against Ravager. This build surprisingly was very tanky. Very tanky with... in the end game especially. In the end game you see like we have 30% physical resistance over here, and there's our silence adding a little bit more when getting myself in top spots. So Caligadra was most annoying fight here as Celestials. However, we did also kill the Caligadra, and it also took something around 6-7 minutes to kill Caligadra and Ravager, so not the fastest kills. Great Boss, I didn't believe we had enough DPS for Great Boss, and indeed the Great Boss very slow, but because we don't have much of RV to clean his traits, we have more time to kite him, and we actually almost killed him. He's left with 42k health or something when I got like make some mistake. It is very nerve-wracking fight with the crate, but it's possible to kill it. Not the best crate killer, indeed, but it's there's a possibility. What kind of Grim Dawn builds is this? Can I have the Grim Dawn tools? We'll get the Grim Dawn tools. I'm doing a video recording for YouTube right now, mate. So we're talking about the build all together. That's all for intro. Let's show you the build in Shattered Realm. So we go into Shattered Realm level 65. And Shattered Realm, this is where the problem with the builds start in terms of like survivability is good. The cleaning speed is decreasing quite significantly. The way I see it, the problem with survivability, obviously the DPS not that great. 131k unbuffed, and another problem, we don't have enough resistance reduction. We're doing physical damage, but we only, in a best case scenario, we have minus 76 physical resistance reduction, which just wasn't enough to remove all the physical reduction from the crate from a crate boss and all the Celestials. And enemies in Shattered Realms have quite a bit of physical resistance as well. Okay, so let's go. We're gonna talk about skill rotation a little bit here. So basically, with this build, you want to rotate between two skills, right? So there's okay, about physical resistance reduction. There's a little bit physical resistance reduction with Flash Freeze. But most of the enemies, elite enemies, bosses not be influenced by the Flash Freeze, so I'm completely removing it from resistance reduction table. So the skill rotation, you want to apply new Ascension, right? Rotate between Ascension and Mirror of Ereoctes. Both of them giving you Mirror of Ereoctes making you invulnerable, and Ascension giving you that damage bonus, or damage absorption, and both of the skills giving you ability of getting some more DPS into, bringing more DPS into the fight. So that's basically the whole skill rotation. Not much to say about it. We also oh my god, what I'm saying? Yeah, we also can use some of Cursed Tincture in between, which is removing enemy resistances, physical resistance by 8, but usually using it for big boss fights. Yes. And then you can buff your damage with Elixir of Ancient. It's kinda expensive elixir, in terms that it costs you to 1 Ancient Heart to craft, but it's additional 100% to physical damage, which is a good thing to have. Okay, so you see the cleaning speed over here. We're kinda doing fine, but not really as fast as any top tier 1 build will do. So that's why I'm calling it a solid tier 2 build. Yeah. That's mainly a reason. There's also the problems the build had early game. I'm gonna be talking about early game right after this. We're also gonna be showing some stats of the build as well. Early game before level 35 was really bad, but because we're playing it on ultimate, we get into level 35 like very fast. So we died like 6 times in early game. In between, even after 35. So like, before level 50 on solo still found, the build was very fragile, and after level in an end game, the build is definitely one of the best tankish build, melee tankish build we had in a while. Okay, the last wave. Actually, not the last. Come on, bring me some nemesis here. I'm gonna wanna showcase how the nemesis are working. So you see about our AoE, right? The Righteous Fervor is a single target ability, but we're still managing to kill a bunch of our enemies simultaneously. First of all, we do have the Smite ability. Right, we have a Smite ability, which is targeting only 3 targets in front of you with 17 arc, but it's adding to that AoE damage. And then we have a bunch of AoE damage from constellations. Okay, so the Light of Empyrean. We also have the AoE on my Guardians of Empyrean too. And this is bringing a decent clearance speed. So there is a damage reflection, right? How this build dealing with damage reflection? You just saw we were attacking into the damage reflection guy, into a shield, and nothing happened. So this build is good on damage reflection. You don't need to press any like additional mirror skills or anything. By default we have 51 reflection resistance. So it's working pretty good with that. Okay, they have 2 of those, huh? Interesting. Okay, this guy's no problem. Gonzalez and Sin. Guess we're getting a good nemesis over here, so we're not taking that much of time to kill them. As you see. When I tried it Shadow Drum yesterday, we have more uptime on the bosses. Have more chunky bosses there, but I still can pull all the 4 bosses together and fight it. It will be too dangerous. Well, that's the Shattered Round. So level 65 is not a problem for this build. A little bit slow, but we still have 7 minutes in reserves. Yeah, it's enough. So now the early game. How this build? I already said a couple of words about early game. Wait, why don't we have like that many chests? Did we were we on level 65? Nani? Wait, chat. Did we done level 65? I mistakenly went for a different one. No. Should have sorted my loot over here. Okay.
My inventory is
Still
full.
can take a shit.
I can't carry anymore.
Inventory sorting is not the best one. Anyway, early game. So there is very hard fight in early game, an ultimate difficulty that is before level 35. Level 35 is the earliest level that you can get this is a Scourge Cleaver. So I recommend it when you reach like level 30. I recommend it to go into jump back to normal difficulty, go into Blood Grew, and fight the guy, fight the boss on level 30. We went there on level 20 something, 20 I believe, and it was a very hard fight. We died once I think on him on level 20, so level 30 is best fight for best time to go to that. Alright, you get in basically on level 25 you get in the talisman, alright, the for dual wielding. Where it goes. Blades from Talisman, level 25. So the first like the relic that you can get for dual wielding, level 25. But you still, because how the scaling work in the game, you only can get in the Blood Grew on normal difficulty enemies default level is something 30 something. So when you get fighting the boss, the lowest is a Scourge Clearer will be level 35. So you definitely want both of them, and it will be big boost to your damage early on. Then you want Flesh Warper Cask and Flesh Warper Pauldrons, both of them giving you plus Righteous Fury. And both of them also you can probably gonna get when you're gonna be farming for this Easy Clearer, because there's a lot of cereals in a area where the boss is situated, right? The area where the boss is, you can check it out in the Grim Tools, but it's jumping into Blood Groove, right? And you need to go to the quarry over here. Right, this quarry is just Blood Grew Rift, and the quarry over here, this is where the boss, and along the way you meet a lot of cereals that can drop easy casks or shoulder guards. Yes. Another early items you would like to have mostly is the Putrid Necklace. The Putrid Necklace, it just maybe you would not need it on normal difficulty if you're planning to play this build on normal. On normal difficulty, this build will be just pretty good anywhere you go. But on ultimate, you need this additional offensive ability from whenever you can get, and there's like a Iskander Elemental Exchange getting this offensive ability 8%. It's pretty good, because skill-wise. Obviously, skill-wise, you want to get Mirror as fast as possible, right? But you're starting with Oathkeeper. You're investing in Righteousness Fervor, right? You want Righteousness Fervor on a soft cap before jumping back and grabbing a Mirror over here. And then you're progressing into Oathkeeper. Getting so early game, what you would need Presence of Virtue for that buff of offensive ability flat, right? So you can benefit from that percentage from Putrid Necklace, and you would need to Overlord. After you get all the Overlord, Presence of Virtue, and something around Sphere of Protection around 14 damage absorption percent, right? 14-12%. Around 14. You'll also want a 1-point Arcane Wheel, by the way. Then you're switching back to Oathkeeper and getting your Guardians of Hyperion as fast as possible, so you want the Celestial Presence. Also, early game, you want to get the Assassin Blades as well as fast as possible. Getting Assassin Mark with additional minus physical resistance reduction would be pretty good. Also, the mistakes are done. Alright, I didn't put more points into Smite early on, but you absolutely want some 3 points at least into Smite after you get like Fervor. So that's provide you with more AoE options, right? Better cleaning speed altogether. That's the early on skills, early on constellations, and the items. Well, another item you can add to this list is the Death's Race Guard. right? The one you can craft starting from level 35, and it's gotten +1 to skills in Arcanist. Pretty handy early on, right? And easy to craft too. So everything else is when we play in an ultimate difficulty, we just taking whatever items providing me the most resistances. That's about all. About for early game as well. Stats. What the build is having in stats is offensive ability almost 3400 over here. Right, so that's what we need. It's actually a bit more, do we? When you spin in the wheel. Okay, so 3400, never mind. So that's what we need during the celestial fights, right? That's what we need for celestial fights here. The DPS I already showed you. Every time we press a mirror, I get this additional DPS, and then this goes all the buffs here can get you like around 200k DPS, which is not bad. Not bad for single target DPS with slightly bit of AoE, but not the biggest DPS actually. Actually, because it's single target, you want around 300k DPS over here for this build will be a top tier 1 build or something. Defensive ability also we buffing myself with every time you use in Fervor, so it's 2600. It's good for all the normal gameplay, 95% gameplay of ultimate difficulty, but it's a little bit low for Celestials. Nonetheless, Celestials with Unsanctioned plus Mirror of Ereoctes combo is manageable. Not the hardest fight, not the hardest Celestials I ever had. Yeah. So armor rating, 100 absorption, 2790, all the resistances. We care about lightning resistance for Mogodran fight. So lightning resistance 59 when we have a buff, 59 over the maximum, and then we add in lightning resistance with a potion, right? So it's for Mogodran fight. I recommend you to craft a special elixir, the Storm Shroud Ointment. It's giving you 30% lightning resistance, so we get in over the 80 lightning resistance specifically for a Mogodran fight. Acid poison resistance 80, right? Piercing a lot of over the maximum, and everything else and physical resistance are looking good here as well. 18k health was surprisingly good for this build, despite it was looking pretty low on my Nightblade builds we played before. Secondary stats, what we looking here at attack speed. Alright, attack speed 166 unbuffed, but again, it's all about speeding these buffs here. So it's all about speeding, not the maximum, 179%, but it's pretty good. What else we caring about? The damage here. Physical damage, the majority of damage is physical. Then we having a little bit of trauma damage, about 10k. It's not consequential, right? In fights with Celestials, this trauma damage didn't done much of anything. Right, healing regeneration, we don't care much about. We care about lifesteal here, 19%. So despite this build, most of the time doing damage to single target, the life leech was super good here. Like, in most of the fights, my health will not drop below the 90% mark. We just health leeching everything back right away. Alright, we fought the Morgoness, the guy from Skeleton King Dungeon in Tomb of in Forgotten Ghost DLC, and we were face tanking him no problem with my health leech and reducing damage that he's usually doing to you. So that's the stats, and also resistances, stun resistance and freezing resistance without any potions, looking just good. The only problem I have here is petrify resistance. Petrify resistance we only get in some when you press in the Unsanctioned, it's 20%. it was not enough against Crate Boss. So my biggest problem fighting Crate Boss, not having this enough of Petrify resistance. Right, we don't have like much of crits on this build. Not the biggest crits. So the biggest crits you get are 382, right? It's very mediocre. 382k. That's about stats. The gear. The gear we have here, the Opus Magnum for the build is a Scourge Cleavers, double of them, in conjunction with the Blade Master Talisman. So about the cleavers, not only you want is a Scourge Cleaver, but you also want the suffix of the cleaver to be of Fervor, right? So the Fervor suffix, adding your, let's see, giving you like this chance for physical damage, adding you more physical damage over here, percentage health, attack speed, and +2 to Righteous Fervor, right? It's pretty important to have it on both of your cleavers if you want to get a hard cap on your Righteous Fervor. And the easiest way, the easiest affix to get here, after the prefix to get, it's Superior, that also giving you like some flat physical damage. 51 physical damage over here. So that's the easiest prefix to get. So Superior of Fear is a Scourge Cleaver. That's what you more or less guaranteed to get after 20 or something tries on farming the boss. But what you need, and what we try to farm here, is double rare. Is Scourge Cleaver, and double rare. There's a bunch of affixes, right? So if you go to your item database in Grimdawn Tools, right? If you go to one-handed axis over here, right? If you go to one-handed axis, and if you go click on a prefix here, and you're looking at on rare prefixes, there's 5 or 6 affixes that would work pretty well with this build. Like, for example, Barbaric one, right? Barbaric adding this additional physical damage. And flat physical damage. So you need to choose like one of those. Earthbound over here, flat physical damage, percentage physical damage, Warrior Smite +2, and Earth Ward over here for some extra health gen. Increased armor also pretty good for 8 seconds. So there's 5 or 6 good affixes that doing physical damage here. A Frenzied affix, for example, to attack speed, offensive ability, and rage, not bad to have as well. I'm not showing it, do I? I'm not showing it. Oh my god. There we go. There we go. I clicked the wrong button. So the Frenzied affix. That's what you want. One of those. But it's so hard to get a double rare on those Scourge Cleavers that I just gave up. For component we want Seal of Might on it, and for augment we want the Coven's augment, the Coven's Terror, 55% physical damage and flat health and percentage health. So survivability and damage, right? You obviously want Blade Master Talisman. The only thing about Blade Master Talisman that you bonus on completion, you want 4% of offensive ability. 4% of offensive ability on Blade Master Talisman over here. So that's basically another superior cleaver over here. 3 items that you absolutely need for the build. This build had a lot of like possibilities in terms of adding other pieces of the gear here, right? So we had like 6 basically different versions of the build, and if you check out the video description and go to a link related to day 5, you will find me contemplating almost whole stream about a different version of the builds. Alright, so we have the version of the build with 3 pieces of Ardor of Octavius, right, and Stone Guard, 2 pieces of Stone Guard. There is the same Krieg set. So Krieg set was the weakest one, and we discarded him right away. The Octavius was giving you quite a bit of physical resistance, 39 in my case. There is Tangos Craft 3 pieces. There is a Virtual Light set. There is okay, that's another order of Octavius. There's a Spell Scourge. There's a variant of the build when using Spell Scourge items as well, and it actually was second best in my opinion. But we ultimately went with a variation I'm currently using. When we're using that Flesh Warper Cask as end game item here, aggressive one with Orleans Rust. Orleans Rust giving you a little bit of physical damage, aggressive giving you that percentage of offensive ability, and then we get in that additional 100% of physical damage to elemental exchange and 6% offensive defensive to elemental exchange. It's pretty good for this build in these current combinations. Like you see, I'm using living armor over here as a component for that extra elemental resistance and extra offensive ability armor absorption. Right, one thing I forgot to mention about my stats, right, when talking about stats, the points distribution of attributes. 85 to physique we're doing here, and 18 to cunning, and 4 to spirit just to have the necklace. So we could put more points into cunning over here, by the way, for more damage and more offensive ability. Anyway, the rings. One of the rings you want absolutely on this build is a Black Matriarch rings, mystical one. So it's physical damage buffs, it's some attack damage to health conversion, but what you want here is Venom of the Black Matriarch, right? Minus physical resistance reduction to your on the crits, on the normal attack, as I say. So that's like one source of a critical of that physical resistance reduction we have to the build. Another ring we have here is a Galborg ring, which is giving you +3 to Righteous Fervor. You want to play with affixes for this. We got Supremacy of Crushing, a Crushing of Supremacy, which is giving me enough like physical damage over here, and I was pretty much satisfied with this, so we didn't farm for it that long. Bloody crystals on both of the rings, and I'm using the Steel Broom powder. It's a Malmoth resistance powder that's giving you flat physical damage and 2% to offensive ability, right? And percentage to physical as well. So all my javelins have this. For the amulet, I'm staying with Stormguard amulet. There's a different kind of amulets we also have in variation for this build. The Stormguard ward, pretty useful for face tanking. This additional 350 damage absorption. It did save my beacon here and there. And I'm using Seal of Ancestry here for a little bit extra vitality resistance. So the build in the current configuration have a problem reaching this vitality resistance. So we're using some powders here for poison and vitality resistance actually, here and there. Next piece of the build is 3 sets for the set of Avenger armor. Right, so that's what we stopped on, Avenger armor. The chest armor is pretty, like, not much to talk about here, except physical resistance 5%, right? What we're interested in here in the belt is giving you +1 to Oathkeeper, right? And we haven't here on the Bocleza on the belt. On a breastplate, we have Chains of Orleans, very important for my offensive ability. There's 2% additional offensive reduction in trump and duration. And the last piece is a Shoulder Guards with a living armor, so more internal trauma, more physical damage here, more physical resistance overall. So that's the 3 pieces which provide in you a more offensive ability, +3 to smite, and you do want to have a smite. Actually, we could actually remove some points from the smite over here. Like over, yeah. I do recommend to maybe remove some points from Smite and 1 point from Heaven and put them into Arcanist. That I was planning to do, but I forgot. Well, now we got it. So the gloves here, we also have a different kind of gloves. I went with Crimson Gloves for that attack damage converted to health. Right, we're using Unholy Inscriptions here for more attack damage converted to health. But there's a good gloves, the blue gloves we have for this build, like a mystical Brawler's gloves, right? Internal trauma, physical damage, offensive ability. So it's giving me, instead of like that attack 8% attack damage to health, is giving you the extra offensive ability, and it's gonna work. It's gonna work early end game variant. The boots, the best boots for the builds, I'm pretty sure about this, is Bone Shattered Threads. Alright, offensive ability, physical damage, physical resistance. Yes, please. And they have in Shattered Force to further reducing target like defensive ability by 17. So we're using the Mogdrogen on it, pretty standard. For Amulet is the crafted Mark of Calastor. Again, physical damage, offensive ability. And we're using Arcane Spark for more offensive ability here as well. Rune of a Dark Progenitor. You can get this rune in Shattered Realm, one of the chests in the Shattered Realm. So just try to farm in more. 170 reduction target offensive and defensive ability. Not useful much of it in 95% of the gameplay, but the celestial fights see some usefulness. And then finally pants. Pants, we went with more defensive version of the pants here. With physical damage, some big amount of flat health, 1200, right, and physical resistance. So that's there to have it, and we have Scaled Hide here to get this extra armor absorption, to get bringing this armor absorption to 100%. So that's basically whole decision. Again, it's there is maybe a better variation. Like I say, we have 5-6 variation of this build we were contemplating about in day 5 when we created this build. So with enough time, enough min-maxing, you can make this build even greater. That's what I'm thinking about.
I'll keep an eye out.
Skill-wise, I would say quite a bit about skills already. So the main class is all Skipper. We went it all the way to level 50 with all Skipper. Right, Righteous Fear, Fervor, hard capped with all this extra physical damage, extra main damage to main hand. It's my main DPS and skill. Then we have Consecration with defense ability, attack speed, and we have this Retribution for a little bit more of internal trauma damage. Right, then Presence of Virtue. Rebuke is very needed here. Right, not only is it giving you the reflection damage reduction, but it's flat physical damage. So I'm pretty satisfied with this skill. And obviously Ascension. Ascension done so much work with this build. Right, so you press an Ascension in my skill rotation all the time. It's giving you that damage absorption, so we can flat damage absorption, so we can tank more often, and you can kill the stuff faster because of more damage. And also early on, before end game, you get more offensive ability from here. So I didn't put more than 2 points here. 6% offensive ability was more or less enough, but you can play with this number early on. Divine Mandate. Eternal Trauma, more crit damage, more physical damage, right? Slow resistance. Slow resistance on this build is very important, right? And very important to get Celestial Presence because it's a source of minus physical resistance reduction. We did calculate it, physical resistance reduction early on, did we? It's minus 76 with using the Cursed Tincture, which is not really that good, but enough for majority of content. And we have 1 point into Wire Smite, just to get around, you know, faster. I also was contemplating about leveling up Judgment, which is a very interesting solution. So you can go more defensively on your gear instead of trying to get more offensive ability. Level up the Judgment and level up the Crushing Verdict. in order to reduce an enemy defensive ability, right, to compensate for lack of official lack of offensive ability. So that's some additional damage you can get out of here, and additional survivability, right? And very important to get that smite. It listens 3 points early on, so we already talked that the 13 points here over here is we don't need that much, so we can remove this up until level 8 or something. We also went to soft coupling or silence, right, for that face tanking. For more damage, you can put all of those points into Arcane Wheel. But Arcane Wheel activates earlier on 75% of your health, and is doing all this plus all damage thing. So yeah, looking at the Arcanist, we only went to 20 points into Arcanist, 1 point into Iskander Elemental Exchange, because we getting some bonus from Iskander Elemental Exchange, right, from over here. The cast giving me 100% physical damage when I have Iskander Elemental Exchange buff, and my cleavers getting more physical damage to Elemental Exchange, flat physical and attack speed. So definitely want 1 point here, but we also want 1 point to get access to Overlord for that additional offensive ability. You want Mirror of Ereoctes on soft cap, right? There's no reason to go higher than the soft cap, but we absolutely want that 23 seconds skill reduction. It's a big in your gameplay. 6 seconds duration, 26 reduction, skill recharge. The skill recharge started when you press on the skill, so you have in between invulnerabilities, you have 17 seconds, right? And there's 10 seconds of Ascension is enough to face tank most of the things. Soft capping, Sphere of Protection here for damage absorption, right? Early on, you want more points in all extra fresh freeze, around 4 points to increase its radius, and around 4-5 points in absolute zero for that early minus physical resistance reduction. And it's helping a lot, like having flash freeze early game up till level 50, because it's freezing enemies, majority of enemies can be freeze, so giving you more time to deal with other enemies before they all attacking you together. So it's improving your survivability and improving your damage, obviously. Last skill is Inner Focus, plus 12 offensive ability. That's what we went with that. That's a skill choice. Devotions. Devotions is like also we had some interesting experiences. Devotions. Obviously, the first devotion you want to get here is Assassin Blade, and you can get it pretty easily, pretty fast, as you say. So Assassin Blade, we get Assassin Mark on my Righteous Fervor, 100% chance activation on crit, and that's why we need that high offensive ability, so we can more crit and more activation of Assassin Marks. And minus 32 duration resistance to physical. That's another source of minus physical resistance reduction. So what else we have here? We had a turtle. It's a constellation that we're gonna be feeling in order to get to the big constellation, like a Virus Mason here and Light of Empyrean. So turtle, but it does have damage absorption flat here. So additional 6100 health for you. Lion, also a feeling constellation. Hammer with a little bit of physical damage. Chair to fill the void, but it's also giving you some resistances here. And a stag plus eel with avoiding chance and a little bit of physical damage here. Yeah, stag giving you 15 physical over here, 24 physical damage over here. Right, then we have access to the bear, the dire bear. I put my mole ability on Guardians of Empyrean. Yes, it's like mole ability. Maybe maybe you would like to switch, right? The Assassin Mark and mole ability over here, because mole ability also have this Attack damage converted to health for you gonna give you your more survivability to your character, right? So maybe you want to switch actually. Actually, I'm thinking about it, right? You probably want to switch in between. Get Assassin Mark for your Guardians of Imperium and Maul for yourself. So we have a Virus Feast over here. That's like a first skill that add into that AoE damage, right? The Virus Torment Mason giving you more physical damage altogether, some physical resistance. And we have in the Light of Empyrean. Light of Empyrean was pretty OP in this, especially later on. There's 24% reduction target damage, and it's happening so often, and it's also dealing AoE damage altogether. I really recommend to have. So the Fist of Fire does have also a reduction to enemy physical damage, right? So the Light of Empyrean override this reduction physical damage because it's more reduction target damage, right? The highest reduction applies first and only. And we also have 4 points into Ulzad, Herald of Korvac. So getting Ulzad Decree here, a chance to attack, I put it on my Smite ability. So 200% more physical damage and some flat physical damage and armor. This is also like helping to get this 200k offensive, 200k DPS all overall. Well, that's all about build. A summary is yeah, let's start with the summary, or finish with the summary, or as I say. It's a very solid tier 2 build with a good survivability. Can face stun basically almost everything. Have potential to kill crate. Not the best crate killer, but have potential to kill the crate. And killing Celestials more or less in 6-7 minutes every Mogodran, Caligadra, Ravager. That's what it took us. Not the best time, but not the hardest fight as well. The weakness of the build is a low DPS and mediocre cleaning speed. Mediocre cleaning speed. You saw it in Shattered Realm, right? We don't have much of area skills, and because of that, low DPS altogether and low minus physical resistance reduction. The cleaning speed for a big stuff is quite well, maybe not quite slow, but it's put into tier 2 category instead of being placed in tier 1 category build, right? But it's solid tier 2. So I did have a fun of the build, playing this build, pretty much, yeah. It was interesting concept. Interesting concept in terms of the 6 seconds of invulnerability, and you can apply this concept to a different other classes. Like if you combine, if you go with spell breaker, for example, right? Combining the Arcanist plus Nightblade, or you maybe can go with Soldier. There's all. They all have their own benefits and weak points. The benefits is like if you go Spellbreaker, maybe you can go with some AoE skill, right? Instead of Righteous Fervor with a single target, you can more luck with doing cleaning speed, having this AoE easier with like well. There's a bunch of skill there for the area, and there's also like a Shadow Strike too. Could do a pretty lot of single target damage along the way. So you have your choices to make. We went with the Templar. We went with Oathkeeper, and it's worked pretty well for me. At least in the mid game and late end game. Early game for this build was before level 35 was pretty hard very hard on ultimate. We basically wasn't able to deal any damage, so we were struggling to get some XP I actually get majority of XP from 99% of XP from a quest, and then like we get level 35, got my 2 clearers, and things change. Things just change pretty drastically. Alright guys, it'll be probably one of the last builds I do in a while. I just didn't feel like it was that much of a... Didn't have that much of a good time as Grim Dawn on YouTube or on Twitch recently. And I don't know when the last build will gonna be, when the next build will be, right? So I'm taking some break here. More followers on YouTube, the shorter the break will be. So don't forget to follow. I will be appreciated pretty much. Well, same goes for Twitch, obviously. Meanwhile, yeah, we're done with the YouTube recording.